The phone was already halfway to my ear when I heard my daughter's voice crack. Not the polished, everything is fine voice she'd been using with me for months. This was something rawer, something she hadn't meant to let out. I was 63 years old, and in 63 years I had learned exactly one thing about that particular sound. It meant a woman was holding herself together with both hands and running out of grip. My name is Linda Marsh. I am a retired school librarian, a grandmother of two, a keeper of African violets, and as my late husband Gerald always said, the most stubborn woman God ever pressed breath into. I don't argue with that assessment. Stubbornness has served me. It got me through Gerald's cancer. It got me through the months after, when the house felt like a museum of everything I'd lost. It got me to 63 in one piece. What stubbornness had not prepared me for was the quiet, creeping suspicion that my daughter's marriage was in trouble, and that everyone knew it but me. Her name is Cassie. She's 34, a physical therapist, and the kind of person who alphabetizes her spice rack and cries at dog food commercials. She married Marcus Hale 6 years ago in a garden ceremony that made every woman over 50 weep into their champagne. He was charming. He was handsome. He wore his suit like he'd been born in it, and when he danced with Cassie's grandmother at the reception, I thought, this one is good. For a long time, I believed that. Then slowly, without any single moment I could point to, I stopped being sure. It wasn't anything dramatic, no bruises, no screaming matches overheard through walls, just absences. Cassie stopped bringing Marcus to Sunday dinners. She stopped mentioning him in casual conversation the way married people do, that reflexive we asterisk that becomes second nature. She started calling me more, which should have felt like closeness, but somehow felt like she was filling a silence somewhere else. I asked her once, carefully, over coffee in her kitchen, "Is everything okay with you too?" She smiled. The smile was perfect. "Mom, of course." I let it go. What else do? You can't drag the truth out of someone who's decided to protect you from it. It was a Tuesday in November when everything changed. Cassie had called to help me troubleshoot my tablet. Some update had scrambled the settings, and I couldn't get my audiobooks to load. We'd been on the phone maybe 20 minutes, her walking me through menus, me fumbling and dropping the tablet once and making her laugh, when her doorbell rang. "Hold on, Mom. Marcus is home. Let me just hold on." I heard the small rustle of her setting the phone down, not ending the call, setting it down. I should have said something. I should have announced myself, called out that I was still there. That's what a reasonable person would do. I didn't. I'm not proud of it, but I held that phone against my chest, and I listened, and I told myself it was because I didn't want to interrupt. That was a lie. I told myself for about 4 seconds. The truth was simpler and less flattering. I was frightened of what I might hear, and more frightened of never hearing it. At first, just sounds, the door, footsteps, Marcus's voice low and indistinct, then Cassie's voice careful and thin, "How was it?" A pause, then Marcus, and I had to press the phone harder against my ear to catch it. Marcus said, "Cass, can we sit down?" Something lurched in my chest. That phrase, "Can we sit down?" In 30 years of marriage and a lifetime of reading people, I had never heard those words precede good news. Silence, then the soft sound of them moving, settling. And then Marcus said something that made me close my eyes. "I think I've been making you really unhappy, and I've been pretending I don't see it because I'm scared of what it means. But I see it. I've been seeing it for a long time." I stopped breathing. Cassie didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice had that crack in it again, the one I'd heard at the start of the call, the one that had made me hold the phone a half-second longer than I should have. "Marcus." "Let me finish," he said, not harshly. Gently, the way you speak to something fragile. "I've been putting work first. I've been checked out. I come home and I'm so exhausted, and I know you need me to just be here, and instead I disappear into my phone or I fall asleep on the couch, and I don't ask you how you are. I don't ask. And I know that's been killing something between us." The silence that followed was long enough that I counted my own heartbeats. Then my daughter said, very quietly, "I didn't know if you noticed." "I noticed," Marcus said. I just didn't know how to say it without making it worse. I was so afraid that if I admitted things were hard, they'd become true. Like saying it out loud would break something that I could still fix if I just kept quiet. That's what I've been doing too, Cassie said. Yeah, a long breath. We've been really stupid. And then my daughter laughed. It was a watery, exhausted, entirely genuine laugh, the kind you can't manufacture. And I heard Marcus laugh too, and then there was quiet, and I understood from the quality of that quiet that he had put his arms around her. I set the phone down on the arm of my chair and stared at my ceiling for a long moment. I didn't tell Cassie what I'd heard, not that night. I pressed the button to end the call and waited 3 minutes and called her back and told her the tablet had disconnected. She laughed and said Marcus was home and she'd call me tomorrow. I said that sounded perfect. I said goodnight. I sat in Gerald's old armchair, the green one I've never been able to bring myself to move, and I held a cup of tea that went cold in my hands, and I thought about what it means to watch your child carry a weight she doesn't want to put down in front of you. I thought about all the Sunday dinners, all the careful smiles. I thought about how Cassie had learned, somewhere along the way, that she was supposed to protect me. As if my knowing that her life was imperfect would break me. As if I hadn't survived imperfection in my own life, in my own marriage, in all the years that Gerald and I had fought and repaired and fought again and kept building anyway. I had failed to show her that part, the survival part, the this is hard and we're still here part. I had shown her Sunday dinners and pressed tablecloths and a mother who always seemed to have it together. And she had learned, accordingly, that falling apart was not something you did in front of me. That was the thing that sat in my chest all night, not grief exactly, closer to reckoning. I called her the next morning, before she left for work. I have to tell you something, I said, and I need you to let me get through it before you say anything. She agreed cautiously. I told her, all of it, that I'd heard, that I hadn't hung up, that I was sorry for the intrusion and not sorry for what it had given me, which was the truth about my daughter's life that I'd been standing outside of for a year. She was quiet for a very long time. Mom, she finally said. I know. You should have said something. I know that too. Another silence, then softer. What did you hear? I heard your husband say he's been failing you and he knows it, and I heard you both decide to stop pretending. I paused. I heard something that sounded like the beginning of things getting better. She cried then, properly, not the careful kind. I let her, because that was what she needed, and because I was crying a little too, sitting in Gerald's green chair with the morning light coming through the window. I didn't want you to worry, she said when she could. I know, baby, but worrying is part of it. You can't protect me from your life. You've been through so much, since Dad. Cassie, I said her name the way I used to when she was small and needed to stop and hear me. I am not made of glass. I buried your father and I'm still standing. I can hold whatever you need to give me. That's what I'm for. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, I forgot that. So did I admitted. I should have said it a long time ago. Marcus called me that evening. He'd heard from Cassie about our conversation, and he wanted to apologize for the distance, for the months of careful performances, for the way their trouble had become a thing they managed around me instead of with me. I told him that wasn't necessary, that what I'd heard on that phone said more about his character than any apology could. I'm going to do better, he said. I want you to know that. I do know that, I told him. I knew it when you asked her to sit down. He was quiet, then he laughed just a little. You really did hear everything. Every word. The silence between us was warm, somehow. Easy. The kind of silence that happens after honesty when nothing is being carried alone anymore. My African violets are on the windowsill as I write this. Gerald gave me the first one 28 years ago, convinced he was killing it within a week, and somehow I kept it alive. Somehow I kept all of them alive. You have to know what they need is all. You have to pay attention. Cassie and Marcus are in counseling now. They go on Thursday evenings. She told me last Sunday over dinner, A real Sunday dinner, Marcus there with his jacket off, helping me do the dishes afterward while Cassie put the kids to bed. She told me like it was ordinary, like she was telling me about a dentist appointment. Matter of fact, unburdened. That's what I wanted, that. I should have said, "You can tell me anything." I should have said it years ago. But then, I learned something too. Sometimes you have to pretend to hang up. Sometimes the truest things get spoken in the pause when someone thinks no one is listening. Sometimes, that's what saves everything.